Time to start running!
It's a Conspiracy est un membre fier du Alberta Podcast Network. Pour d'autres programmes amusants, veuillez vérifier albertapodcast.com où vous trouverez des programmes comme The Hockey Fields.
It's a conspiracy!
Episode 8, Night of Shadows. We haven't done this in a little while, but I got a little joke for you guys. Okay, so whoever took my antidepressants, I hope you're real happy.
That's just dark, and I don't know how I feel about that one. I don't know how I feel about that one.
He said it's the Night of Shadows.
Welcome back, everyone, to It's a Conspiracy. This is the podcast where we load the beliefs behind select conspiracy theories, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. I'm your host, Andrew, and I do not claim to be an expert on anything we're going to discuss today, and will probably be wrong about everything as usual because it's slowly sinking in how close it is to Christmas, despite it not feeling very Christmas-ish. What a strange year. I wrote this, and then Charlie showed up with his Charlie Brown tree. Man. And now it feels a whole lot more like Christmas than it did.
We're all Christmased up in the Scream bunker. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty Christmassy this year, more so than I think.
Dig in, you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, man, but
yeah, I know it's hard.
Some joy and happiness.
Happiness.
If you'd like to see where we dug up whatever jolly rumbles we're going to deck the halls with, then please check out the resources in the episode description. Charlie keeps a close tab on that throughout the year and rewards the good boys and girls with a sock that has an apple in the toe. And he rewards the bad ones with 20 lashes from his cat o' nine tails. Whoosh. Lastly, we are a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network. Yay, team. Do you have a cat o' nine tails with you, Charlie?
I'm allergic.
But I thought you couldn't smell anything.
I'm allergic to cats.
You can still be allergic to something even if you can't smell it.
I'm allergic to cats no matter how many tails they got.
That's not how that works.
You can check us out online at our website, itsconspiracypodcast.com, our Twitter at Is It a Conspiracy? That's run by the social media influencer, the Irish Madman, our Facebook group, the Instagram page, It's a Conspiracy Podcast, that's run by Greg, and our email and our Patreon page, patreon.com/It's a Conspiracy. Yeah. Joining the online distance communication time today is Charming Charlie and gorgeous Grogu. Grogu. These prancing elves are ready to construct all your delights for the wonders in your heart with love.
Remember that I threatened to do something to some people who ruined things for me.
You knew what his name was. You said earlier.
I started with a G. I didn't say I know who it was.
All right.
Yeah.
But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I knew it. Anyway. Charlie, with a simple yes or no, can you tell me if you've heard of any one of these three theories? Number one, the very bizarre assassination of Franz Ferdinand.
The music? The band? No.
I remember learning about this in grade 6 or 7.
It's real weird, man. And number two, the Greg segment.
No.
The Gregment. The Gregment.
Greg moments of Greg. We're going to talk about the Georgia Guidestones.
Oh, boy.
I don't know what that is.
Well,
that sounds like legislature.
Could be.
And I wrote down 10 fun facts about Santa Claus, but it's actually 10 fun facts about the North Pole. So, Charlie, have you heard of 10 fun facts about the North Pole?
No way.
Okay. Spoiler, I don't think there's 10.
Probably not 10.
Probably not 10.
Did you just copy and paste from last year?
No, I didn't, because I was starting to do a Sinterklaas, and I realized it was I think we've talked about him before. So let's do the North Pole, hey?
Big Santa.
All right.
Where are my polars at? Charlie, am I ready to share? Can I share?
I'll allow it.
Okay, thank you. So, subject number one, the very bizarre assassination of Franz Ferdinand.
Real, that was a band, right?
It is a band, yep.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
We'll put a little clip in
They
here.
just did that commercial for that for iTunes, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Alrighty, now let's take a little trip down memory lane. 1914, the 20th century off to a roaring start, not knowing that the First World War I was about to start. That war is also called the Great War, but what's so great about war, right? Anywho, here's the story of perhaps the most inept assassination of all time. Just a heads up, there's a lot of names in here that I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to do my best.
I'm going to need a beer for this. Hold on.
Yeah.
Make it 2.
Bogdan Zarajic, Zarajic was a hero of angry Bosnians. He attempted to assassinate Emperor Franz Joseph and the governor of Bosnia, who ends up coming into this later on. Bogdan Zarajic immediately became the hero of an underground movement populated by Serbian nationalists and a shady organization known as, this is the coolest name for a group, the Black Hand. How rad is that?
Pretty good.
That's right out of, that's like a Frank Miller graphic novel right there.
Black Hand.
The Black Hand. Spurred on by the attempts on the emperor and governor, they decided to take out the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, during a trip to Sarajevo. Oh my. And I'm just going to share. So there they are there.
I see the picture.
Yep. And there is, on the left is Franz Ferdinand, and in the middle is his wife Sophie, and then somebody else on the other side there.
Do you think they had competitions about whose hat was bigger?
No.
Those are some big, fancy hats.
I would get to wear the big hat in this family.
Oh, between him and his wife, yes. I was thinking about the people in military dress, but his wife does have, they all have quite the chapeau on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about height.
The hat pack.
So the death squads were assembled. The members were given Browning pistols, hand grenades, and tiny little packets of cyanide powder that they would use in the event that they were captured. And some have said that the Black Hand ordered all of the people in the death squad to kill themselves the minute the Archduke was assassinated. So they're like, doesn't matter if you're captured, whatever. As soon as he's dead, you have a little snack, and then you go to bedtime forever.
That's a lose-lose situation.
It's yeah. You're like, yes, sir. The plan was simple. Ferdinand and his wife Sophie were going to be driven through town in an open-top car during a parade. So they're in Sarajevo, driving through town square, just sashaying around. The assassins would position themselves at a variety of points throughout the route, which had been published and attained earlier. So they're like, this is the way the Archduke is going to be traveling through our village. And so they got that. And they set up a couple of stations, and then they had their guns, their grenades, and the hilarity would ensue. So parade day, the car approached the first assassin, a young man named, I apologize in advance, Mehmed Basic, I think. Mehmed Basic had been involved in plots before and explained later on, years later, he was interviewed, and he said, I simply froze upon seeing the car as I was haunted by my previous failure. So the car rolled by a guy holding a hand grenade, just standing there like, and no suspicions were raised. This car was being circled by security. Nobody thought anything about it. They're like, oh, isn't that nice? He's got a...
Look at that man just sweat bullets while he's holding a hand grenade.
It's fine. Let's just keep going.
You looked like a real basic bitch.
It's hot out, man. It's hot out. It's hot out.
It is June. That's right. Late June. Second, a young man named Kubrilovich, he saw Mehmed Basic freeze up, and he decided that he too would freeze up. So he stood patiently. He had a gun in one hand, a grenade in the other hand, also frozen, while the car, surrounded by security again, drove by, and somehow no suspicions were raised. So that was two guys like, yeah, and no thoughts.
So he decided to freeze up, like he was like, ah.
Well, he was ready to go, and then he saw Mehmed Basic freeze up, and he's like, why my peeps be freezing? And so he froze up too. So they both.
This was like if we both do it on the count of three, but they both were like, "Oh, well, you didn't do it. I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it. If you're not doing it, I thought you were going to do it.
Not today, sir. Not today."
So third, Kabrinovich, chronically ill with tuberculosis, ready to sacrifice his life for the cause, despite being barely able to stand. He saw the first two fail to act, and he decided to hurl his grenade at Ferdinand's car. Now, I don't know if you guys are grenadiers, I believe is how it's pronounced. Grenadiers? I'm not sure. You got to pull the pin, right?
It's been a while.
So he threw his grenade, but he didn't pull the pin properly. It bounced off the hood of the car, and then it was lying on the road for like 10 seconds, and people were like, is that a grenade? And then it exploded, but by the time it exploded, the Archduke was like down the street.
And it is so hard to get good help.
It really is. Security were like, wait a second, that was a grenade. Let's get out of here. So they immediately called an end to the parade, and they decided to get the air to Safeway.
Safeway.
Get the air to Safeway.
Get the air to Safeway. Got a special on hot dog buns. To get the air to safety. As the car was speeding away, the other assassins panicked And they also froze up, not able to shoot their guns or grenades. So they just passed by all these guys like, just not ready to do it. So the secrecy was blown. Everyone knew something was up, and the plot was completely foiled. Or so you might think. Kabrinovich, the one with tuberculosis, the one who threw his grenade without pulling the pin, he quickly put the cyanide pill in his mouth, and he planned to jump into the nearby Miljacka River just to make sure he would be dead. However, and I didn't realize this is a thing, the cyanide pill he had taken had expired, and it only resulted in inducing violent projectile vomiting. So as he was vomiting himself to death, he was crawling towards the river, and people were like, it's that guy over there puking himself to death. And he did manage to throw himself over the railing, only to find out that the water was 13 centimeters deep. So the crowd pulled him out of the water, and they started to beat him mercilessly, and then the police saved him, and they were like, this is the guy that was threw the grenade?
This was the guy who threw
This is the
grenade?
guy that you think is your bumbling Boba Fett. Like, right there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, this has Boba Fett all over it, just a bunch of Boba Fetts. So I'm show you a picture here of Kabrinovich being arrested. Here we go. This is him here. Do you guys see?
Can we get a zoom?
Yeah, zoom it in. Zoom.
So there we
Oh,
go.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. They're dragging him. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, he's the guy right here.
Yeah. Another bunch of people trying to kick him. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and all the people were like, kill that guy. He's covered in vomit.
He's a puker.
He's guys, when I get scared, I throw up.
He doesn't know how to hold his liquor. Get him out. Cut him off.
And he's got tuberculosis too. Poor guy. Just
All right. Anyway.
making that horrible coughing sound. Oh.
Huge city, man.
So Ferdinand was Archduke Franz Ferdinand was sped to the town hall, and where he was supposed to make a speech. He burst in, and the mayor's standing there. He's like, "Oh, you're here early," and the Archduke says, "Mr. Mayor, I came here on a visit, and I get bombs thrown at me. It's outrageous." The decision was made to keep Ferdinand and his wife there for safekeeping. Meanwhile, one lone assassin, whose last name was Principe, also terminally suffering from the tuberculosis, stayed at his post. He had seen the entire thing fall apart. He saw Kabrinovich violently vomit everywhere and then get arrested, but he still stayed there with the ridiculous logic that surely the Duke would return on this route within the hour. That makes sense, right? Like there was just an assassination attempt. I'll wait here. Surely the Duke will come by again. Astoundingly, the royal couple, after less than an hour, decided, just to be on the safe side, that they should go to the local hospital to be checked out. The hospital happened to be on the exact same parade route, the route that had been littered with assassins. And no one, not even the driver of the car who was from Sarajevo, noticed the blunder until the cars were loaded up and they were on their way. So they're like, let's go to the hospital. It happened to be on the same roadway, that they just come from, where all the assassins were.
Well,
Principe.
that's the way that Google Maps tells you to go. That's the way you're going to go.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you don't have to question it, right? Principe, the assassin who had stayed, had run, and this is true, he ran into a local delicatessen and just barely missed the royal car returning through the parade route. So he waited there thinking they would come back, knowing there was no way they would come back, runs into a deli, and the royal couple actually came back. By the time he saw that the intended target had returned, he had already missed them and cursed his bad luck. However, in a shocking turn of events, at that very moment, the governor of Bosnia realized the issue. He's like, why are we coming this way? This is where all of the assassins were. Let's turn around and get out of here. And the driver, the one who knew the city well and didn't mention anything about the routes being the same, slams on the brakes, and he orders security he's like, get to the front of the car and push. We're going backwards. And the governor's like, what the hell are you doing? And the driver explains that the vehicle they were driving in had no reverse gear. And so if they needed to go in reverse, if they had to go backwards, then someone was going to have to push them. And he's like, I always get security to push me when we go backwards.
Why they can't do just a 3-point turn and get the fuck out of there?
There was no reverse.
There was no reverse.
No, but three. Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah.
By that point,
It
Principe.
would just be one turn.
By that point, Principe finished at the delicatessen. He made his way to the car to find the royal couple completely unprotected by their guard because they were all at the front of the car pushing it backwards. He realized that he had left his grenade at the delicatessen, so he took out his gun and fired it twice. After the second shot, his gun jammed, so he ran up to the couple and he's going to finish them the old-fashioned way with his fists. This is when he saw that he had somehow mortally wounded both the Archduke and his wife with the 2 shots. So they were both actually dead. So this is like that Indiana Jones moment where he like 1 bullet and like 3 guys. Yeah. The crowd from the delicatessen saw what happened. They ran out and stopped Principe from swallowing his cyanide pill. And they restrained him until security realized what was happening and went and arrested him. Principe died in jail shortly after due to complications with tuberculosis. And and I've got, this is kind of grisly, but I've got a picture here of both the delicatessen and this is where Principe was standing inside when the royal couple came back, amazingly. And this is also where he left his hand grenade.
Yeah, like what did he order?
I don't know.
Guaranteed it was like a ham on rye or something.
Yeah, I'll take a ham on rye and a quick espresso. I got some time to kill, if you know what I'm saying.
Some biscotti on the side. Yeah.
I just love that he went into it. Oh, it's so. He's like
he was on his lunch break, man. Yeah. Even revolutionists got to take care of them.
Right. Yeah. Well, okay. He seems like he's definitely part of the henchman union. So they get like 2 15s and a half an hour break per shift, right?
Per shift, yeah. And he would have been
I think
at the end, so
you're only
like
entitled to that after 8 hours.
Oh.
So this is, I can't really read the name here. Something Schiller. And they do have rum. So I'm assuming he went in there for a quick rum, which would be
Moritz Schiller.
Moritz Schiller. Yep. Looks nice.
A rummery.
I'd have 2 rums from the rummist. This is the tunic that Archduke Franz Ferdinand was wearing when he was shot. So it's in the top here.
I like the tie-dye design.
Messed himself for sure.
Yep. They both got shot once and it did the job. Yep.
Oh, was that the bullet hole in the middle of his
I believe so. Either here or here. And that's just loitered in blood. Ghastly. So anyways, this assassination attempt triggered a series of events that ended up triggering the biggest conflict the world had ever seen at that point. And this whole thing reads like an episode of Inspector Gadget.
So that's what started World War I?
Yeah, so that happened. And then people are like, I can't believe he was assassinated. And the Serbians were like, well, we're going to call in our friends. And then their friends called in their friends. And then their friends called in their friends. And all the countries, it was just a big dog pile. So it set off a bunch of like, well, if you can't attack him because he's under our protection. And then boom. Yep. Real weird. Anywho, that's the Black Hand and the bizarre assassination of Franz Ferdinand.
Oh, man.
All right, then.
A wild trip into our history.
Yeah. So, Charlie, what are we drinking here?
What are we drinking? What are we drinking? Well, the way you started off the episode, I felt I really needed to crack open a can of 5 of Diamonds Pilsner from Blind Man Brewing.
Oh, my.
Pilsner?
Yeah, it sure does.
Open spaces.
Oh, we
Those
have
were
had
the
this
doctor's
before.
orders to Mr. Len Thompson, returning from the First World War, badly injured. How about that, huh?
How about that segue there?
Love a good tie-in. Lagered for 6 weeks and hopped with Tetnagar and says it's dry and snappy and it'll taste like one more. We hope you'll enjoy this beer and appreciate how lucky we are for the freedom to live that doctor's timeless advice. Fresh air, open spaces.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah, and Lacombe is good, man. They sold hand sanitizer by like the
gallon,
by like the 10-gallon jug during the lockdown. It was like a big. I'll have 2 beers and a 10-gallon jug of hand sanitizer.
Don't mix them up. I love a growler of hand sanny.
I was just kind of thinking that, man.
Yeah. Well, that is going to take us to ad numero uno.
Hey friends, this episode is brought to you by Park Power, a provider of electricity and natural gas in Alberta that offers low rates, awesome service, and profit sharing with local charities. In Alberta, you get to choose who you buy your energy from. If you choose Park Power, your money stays here. Plus, Park Power shares its profits with local not-for-profits that are working to make a difference for their communities. Shopping local is very important to Park Power's owner, Chris Kozowski, and we love local here at the Alberta Podcast Network, so it's a great fit. Learn more at parkpower.ca. That's parkpower.ca.
Subject number 2, we're going to have a Gregment.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the Georgia Guidestones.
Sweet.
All right. Do you guys know anything about them?
No, I've never heard of them before.
Sounds
like legislation.
Right? You made that joke already.
Sounds like a Skyrim quest.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen. Don't have to worry about sound. But these things.
Sharing. Ooh, fancy.
Oh, yeah. I know this. This is the, right.
Yeah, they're the Georgia Guidestones. That's what they're called, Andrew.
Georgia Guidestones.
So you guys see these things?
Indeed.
Kind of a reference of what I'm going to be talking about now.
I got you.
We'll definitely be posting photos on Instagram and in the references on iTunes. The Georgia Guidestones are a granite monument erected in 1980 in Elbert County, Georgia, in the United States. A set of 10 guidelines is inscribed on the structure in 8 modern languages, and a shorter message is inscribed at the top of the structure in 4 ancient language scripts. The anonymity of the Guidestones' authors and their apparent advocacy of population control, eugenics, and internationalism have made them an object of controversy and conspiracy theories. One slab stands in the center with 4 arranged around it. A capstone lies on top of the 5 slabs, which are astronomically aligned. An additional stone tablet, which is set in the ground a short distance to the west of the structure, provides some notes on the history and purpose of the Guidestones. The structure is sometimes referred to as the American Stonehenge, which...
The British Stonehenge was better.
Yeah.
A better series.
In June 1979, a man using the pseudonym R.C. Christian approached the Alberton Granite Finishing Company on behalf of a small group of loyal Americans and commissioned the structure. Christian explained that the stones would function as a compass, calendar, and a clock, and should be capable of withstanding catastrophic events. Joe Fenley of Alberton Granite assumed that Christian was a nut, and I put that in air quotes, and attempted to discourage him by providing a quote of the commission, which was several times higher than any project the company had previously taken, explaining that the Guidestones would require additional tools and consultants. To Fenley's surprise, Christian accepted the quote. When arranging the payment, Christian said that he represented a group which had been planning the Guidestones for almost 20 years and which wanted to remain anonymous. Christian delivered a scale model of the Guidestones and 10 pages of specifications. A message consisting of a set of 10 guidelines or principles is engraved on the Georgia Guidestones in 8 different languages, 1 language on each face of the 4 large upright stones, moving clockwise around the structure from the due north. These languages are English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, traditional Chinese, and Russian. I don't know what the difference between traditional Chinese and I'm sure there's a significant reason for that. Starting with number 1, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature.
Ooh, scary.
Guideline number 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Number 3, unite humanity with a living new language. Number 4, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Number 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Number 6, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Number 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials. Number 8, balance personal rights with social duties. Number 9, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. And number 10, be not a cancer on the earth, leave room for nature. Leave room for nature.
Does it repeat that twice?
Yes, it does.
Leave room for nature.
Yep.
Leave room for nature.
This isn't a guideline, but this is also like on like another stone written close by. It's like, let these be guidelines to an age of reason.
And on another stone, it says, "For a good time, call Andy 555."
I was getting to that, but nice.
Yeah.
Yoko Ono said the inscribed messages are a stirring call to rational thinking, while Wired stated that unspecified opponents have labeled them as the 10 Commandments of the Antichrist.
Problem.
The Guidestones have become a subject of interest for conspiracy theorists. One of them, an activist named Mark Dice, demanded that the Guidestones be smashed into a million pieces and then the rubble used for construction projects,
Nice.
claiming that the Guidestones are of a deep satanic origin. And then R.C. Christensen belongs to a Luciferian secret society
Dig that word.
related to the New World Order.
Oh, yeah.
At the unveiling of the monument, a local minister proclaimed that he believed the monument was for sun worshippers, for cult worship, and for devil worship. Conspiracy theorist Jay Weidner has said that the student of the man who commissioned the stones, R.C. Christian, resembles Rosecross Christian or Christian Rosencreuz, the founder of the Rosicrucian order. The most widely agreed upon interpretation of the stones is that they describe the basic concept required to build a devastated civilization. The engraved suggestion to keep humanity's population below 500 million could have been made under the assumption that war had already reduced humanity to below this number. So that's all the information I have about the Georgia Guidestones.
Huh.
That's the part that's scary, man. Like, keep the population under a certain point, and that point is like, we're way past that now. Oh,
Yeah. Well, we're like,
we're
what,
gonna
like
kill everybody.
One hasn't been reading the stones.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Guidelines, people.
Yeah, that's scary stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, I also think it's super cool that they were built to well, that sounds like an opinion, but super cool that they were built to like withstand like a natural disaster or something super destructive to the earth.
To withstand a torpedo from someone's Imperial light cruiser.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
You're saying that.
But anyway, yeah, but that's the Georgia Guidestones.
Georgia guys. Yeah,
That really does sound like, it sounds like a country band, doesn't it?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Georgia Guidestones.
Back at home, feeling misunderstood. In between these ears, ain't nothing good.
I
I would go see that band.
Were there any bad points
ourselves in a. Go ahead.
aside from the population, not keeping the population under 5 mil or whatever? Were there any other bad points on there? Like any other, like, go kill these guys, go do the bad stuff, worship Satan.
Oh,
Not really. It was just
like-
more of just like that there was like, we don't know who commissioned this, and like the guy that did commission it was a pseudonym, and they have no idea who he is.
So, but then everybody's obvious first leap was to say, "I'll probably Satanists."
well,
This-
it has the sun worshipping angle on it.
like, this is probably devil work.
Probably.
This
Who knows?
sounds like we're in opinion time.
Yeah, I was gonna
check my
say,
clock
like, we
real
just
quick here.
jumped a couple
Charles.
Okay. I'm gonna forget by the time we get there.
Well, write down your thoughts here. I'll make a little note. Charlie has something to say. Okay. That's going to take us to ad numero dos.
The Shared Mic Conversations for the Ages is a podcast by Age Friendly Edmonton that's creating human connections one episode at a time. In this interview-style podcast, people from different generations and backgrounds meet to discuss topics that matter to them. It's been a successful social experiment because so far, everyone's been able to find something in common. Season 2 is out now and offers a fantastic selection of topics, including cultivating friendships, building careers, exploring virtual theater, volunteerism, and more. The Shared Mic is available on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and is brought to you by the Edmonton Seniors Coordinating Council and the City of Edmonton.
Subject number 3. This was going to be about Santa Claus, but we had already talked about Santa Claus, and it was going to be about Krampus. We've already talked about Krampus, so we're going to talk about the North Pole. Hey, you guys like the North Pole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here is Sub-Zero. Now, Plane Zero.
So here's 10 fun facts about the North Pole. Number 1, there are 2 North Poles. The true North Magnetic North Pole, which changes every day, and the North Terrestrial Pole, all of which sits atop the Arctic Ocean. Number 2, Unlike Antarctica, there is no land. It's just a big ocean. And of course, the ice wall that surrounds the flat disk that we call Earth. Number 3, 1909, Robert Peary claims to have set foot on the North Pole and was credited as the first explorer there. In 1908, American explorer Frederick Albert Cook claimed to have reached the North Pole, but he was unable to provide navigational records to verify his expedition, and his team later asserted it didn't reach the pole. Threw him under the bus. So Peary has been concluded as the first person to go to the North Pole. And then years later, British explorer Tom Avery supported Peary's claim after he followed Peary's route using sled dogs, and he was able to reach the North Pole. So like decades later, Tom Avery's like, I followed his route and it is good. He got out the sled dogs. How much fun would that be?
Sled dogging it.
Yeah, Diderot. Let's do it.
Number 4, the concept of the Northwest Passage is alive and well. Many European and Asian companies send their ships through the region as it's far cheaper than things like the Panama Canal. Now, this Northwest Passage was what everybody was trying to discover North America for in the first place. And it's funny because now people are using it all the time and they're like, what's the big deal? But it's gotten so much warmer. Not to get into the science of it all. If you believe in science, is apparently heating up, so it's a lot easier to cross through there. Whereas when it was colder, you just couldn't crack through with all of the icebreakers. Number 5, no country has sovereign claim on the North Pole. You can go there and make it your own. If they find oil, that will probably change instantly, and you'll be shot if you even think about it. Number 6, there is a North Pole marathon that over 500 people have ran in the last couple of years. So you can go up there and run a marathon. Yep.
Why would I go up there and run a marathon if I don't run marathons here?
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, what do you shut up, you know?
That's fair.
Number 7, it is completely dark in winter and, like Charlie, totally lit in the summer.
Hey.
Heyo.
And number 8, and we'll just go ahead and call this number 10. There's a town in Alaska called the North Pole where Christmas is celebrated year-round. Can you guys imagine the madness of that? It's like a Nightmare Before Christmas, but in real life. And it's Christmas 365 days a year.
And it's in the United States.
Yeah.
Making Christmas, la la la.
Yeah.
I would, yeah. So anywho, that's 10 fun facts about the North Pole.
Hooah.
And that's going to take us to opinion time.
Opinion time. Hey everybody, it's opinion time.
All right,
Charlie, do you remember what you were going to say?
Franz Ferdinand.
something about the Georgia Guidestones.
Georgia Guidestones.
And
Why
the
are they so
sun.
bad?
Nothing. No. I don't think we're saying they're bad. But you didn't like that the sun worshipping angle
No,
equated.
I'm just saying. Okay, it's like what was on the thing that made everybody be all like, "Oh, must be Satan."
I think it was because of like the anonymity of like everybody who was involved with like the development and construction of it is kept such a secret and nobody knows who it is.
Probably
Secrecy.
Satan. Must be.
And like you said, some of like the way the stones are set up and everything is like it's a clock, it's a calendar, all these things. Like people were just like, you know what, paganists did this. They're a bunch of Satan worshiping paganists, and we don't like that here in
It's in Georgia.
Yeah, Christ, man, Bible Belt of the United States, part of.
I guess there's that.
You know,
Yeah.
so
I think it's funny that they're like, I don't know who made this. Probably Satan.
But I think if it's a deviation from the norm at all, they're like, oh, no, it's suspicious. Probably say, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
and plus, like nobody likes being told to be like, hey, why don't you just be a better you? You know,
yeah,
just do good you stuff.
that's probably why everybody hates Yoko Ono, right? Because she's like,
We won't talk about that. It's not like
That's a different episode.
It's a different episode.
oh, but she chimed in though. She was like, "This is great. This is for the humanity and the goodness of everyone, and I just love us all." And
You're right.
and
It
you all just
probably
gotta-
was a
you
Satanist
just gotta
thing.
get along.
It wasn't a Satanist thing
She was into it.
until she got involved.
Yeah, suddenly when you throw her in there, that whole Satan angle that takes on a lot of credit. You know, like
But anyway.
validity. Okay, so Greg, what was our? We talked about the Georgia Guidestones students. Greg, what was our first theory?
The weird assassination of Franz Ferdinand.
Franz Ferdinand.
So wacky.
And Charlie, what was our third thing we talked about.
Oh, how many North Poles does a North Pole pull?
If a North Pole could.
If a North
Pull
Pole
north?
could pull poles.
So I guess we've had our bit on the Georgia Guidestones. What do you guys think about Franz Ferdinand and the kind of Boba Fett Inspector Gadget assassination that somehow happened? That's a thing that happened, man. Like that happened.
It's so weird that so many stooges essentially brought about the First World War by bumbling their way into a murder. That sounds like is the worst fucking James Bond movie opener.
It really is.
You know, it's like, oh, I was going to kill the guy, but I forgot to pull the pin on my grenade, you know? Like,
Yeah. Well, for me, what I think is funny is they go back the route that they had already gone down of. Like, I think, but I guarantee you someone was just like, no way they're going to do that twice in the same place. Let's just go back the way we came.
oh, well, that's where the hospital is. Let's go that way.
Yeah, I can't, man. Every time I've heard this before, and then when I was looking it up at it, and the thing that sticks out to me is, like, was maybe the driver involved? Because it's weird that they were like, take us to the hospital. He's like, I'll go that same parade route we went earlier, and then I'll stop right where I know that other guy is, and then I'll have the security get out of the way and push the car backwards. Like, what else? How could anyone be that stupid? You know? Like, I don't know. And there was all these people in a conspiracy. Like, he I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. He's probably long dead, so we can besmirch him.
So it's like, it's not even the fact that the guys tried to kill the guy and they failed because they're stupid. And then the driver tried to drive them back because he's stupid. But the person supplying the original people with the fucking poison to kill themselves afterwards gave them expired poison, so he's stupid. Like,
Yeah. This plan was just a failure from the get-go.
It really was. It really, and I love that they were all vomiting. Like, that's the best part of it.
they're just throwing up everywhere.
It wasn't me.
I didn't do anything.
Smells like almonds.
So I was like,
So yeah, I don't know, man. That theory, as far as conspiracies go, I think that one is.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
jeez.
But also, I think it's important to point out that I don't think their motive was like, let's start the First World War. You know, like they weren't. I don't think they were quite thinking that lofty. They were just like, let's get rid of this guy.
Want to get Franz?
Yeah,
Once you get to France.
let's get Franz away.
I'd still like to know what Princip ordered at the deli, man.
Yeah.
That I felt the same thing.
Like, I'm
like, why did they say
100%
that?
like, was there a matzo ball soup sandwich? Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Come on,
Well,
I
it's
want some.
Wednesday, so they've got their
want
soup
some.
and sandwich combo. I got to get that.
Oh, heck yeah. Some kosher dills on the side.
Oh, you know, it is funny though because it did say rum on there, so I can't. My go-to thing was like
Having a drink.
he just popped in for a quick,
Bunch of drugs.
a quick sip for courage. You know?
Shot.
Quick sip for courage.
Then I won't.
Shot.
One for
Pickled egg.
me and one for my homies.
He did that thing where he dumped it on the ground. From my friend who was violently vomiting and threw himself into the river. This one's for you.
How about
I
that
guess
North
we've solved those ones pretty quick. That Georgia Guidestones one though, man, that is wild.
I think it's super cool.
Well, slap the candy cane right out of my hand. Wasn't that a real great time for feelers? Yes, sure it was. Just a real nice time together with friends at the Rummery. We really do appreciate you stopping by for a listen, and please feel free to rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, tell your neighbor, tell your foes. Spread the good word like Nutella on your carrots. I know that sounds gross, but it's really good. You check out all of our past casts and social media stuff, or you get punch at itsaconspiracypodcast.com. And we will be back with our Christmas special. So please stay safe and warm and vigilant and healthy.
Woo!
All right.
Bye.
See you never.
It's showtime.